Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. This is your host, Aminah Ahmed, and you're watching Muslim Network TV. Welcome back to NextGen, where we seek to amplify the voices of young people, particularly young people across the world who are making a difference. And you are watching us on Galaxy 19 satellite, Muslim Network TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Roku TV, inshallah. So today we find ourselves looking at an ongoing genocide in Palestine. We've seen for the past 11 months, it is almost a year now, the persecution of a group of people, a persecution that devastates Gaza. The Palestinian people have endured unspeakable hardship. Their access to basic humanitarian needs like food and water and shelter have been systematically stripped away. Civilians, women, children, young people are constantly suffering in Gaza today. And it is the honor of people across the world to be able to speak up for Gaza. It is their privilege to be able to speak up for Gaza and for their human rights and to talk about the oppression that is faced by them. So many people in Gaza have also lost internet access. So when we are trying to reach them, we cannot speak to them. Just earlier before our show, we were having the same issue with our guest, but alhamdulillah, we were able to reach her. It is my absolute honor to introduce Malak Hani Azfriki. Malak is just honestly an inspiration to all of us. She's an extraordinary young woman from Gaza with a national GPA of 99.4%. She's not only one of Palestine's top students, but also the founder of a history and politics club, a debate club, and the co-founder of the platform Her Voice Gaza, which amplifies the stories of women in Gaza. Beyond her academic and intellectual pursuits, Malak is deeply committed to humanitarian efforts in Gaza, and mashallah, she aspires to further her education abroad with the goal of becoming an academic, a political writer, and a diplomat. Malak, thank you for being on our show today. Thank you for giving us your time and for the work that you are doing for women and young people in Gaza. It is my honor to have you here.
Thanks, Amina. It's my honor to talk with you today.
So, Malak, I mean, you are 19 years old. You are extremely intelligent. You have big goals that you want to accomplish. But living in Gaza right now, before our show, we spoke a little bit about how you're not even able to go to college. Young people in Gaza are not able to access, basic things like an education. How has this impacted the average young person in Gaza? How have your lives completely and drastically changed? Can we talk a little bit about that?
Well, problem that many people think that Gazans do not want to live and Gazans don't have a dreams or ambitions, but guess what? We have dreams and we have ambitions. Most of people here strive to complete their education, and the problem is that it's not only there is a war here, but there is no established, there's no infrastructure, a good infrastructure for education. For example, the schools, they are either just completely destroyed, partially destroyed, or those two schools who still exist are backed with refugees who sought shelter because their houses are either destroyed or because they fled from dangerous places. And this is very hard because I wasted a year of my life. Let's say the war started on the 7th of October last year, and now I should be starting my second year in college. But no, I haven't even started my first year. And this is not only me, there are a lot of people here. It's not only because the colleges here, we have Al Azhar University and the Islamic University of Gaza. Those are the biggest and the most excellent universities here. But however, they got completely destroyed and bombed. Sometimes they were, let's say, a place for soldiers, Israeli soldiers, to stay in. And the Al Azhar University has another place in Al Mughraqa. Al Mughraqa is the place of the Netzarim checkpoint. I don't know if you heard about it or not, but it's the place where it separates the northern of Gaza and the northern of Gaza, the northern of Gaza and the southern of Gaza, sorry, from each other. And there was my university. I attended at that university. I just studied for 1 week in it, and then the war started. Now this university completely wiped out, and it's a checkpoint for for Palestinians by the Israeli soldiers. So talking about education, we cannot access education, and those who have scholarships outside Gaza cannot go out because the only place we can go out is Rafah crossing. Now Rafah is a place where operations are on, and Rafah crossing is closed since May. People are not allowed to leave Gaza, and they are allowed not to pursue their education here in Gaza, inside Gaza and outside Gaza.
Mm. Right. So, Malak, what you were talking about is a complete shutdown of education. I mean, you're saying that you were going to go into your second year of college, but you haven't even started your first year, right? Ideally, it would have been your sophomore year in college. And that is the reality of so many young people in Gaza, the lack of an access to education. So when we
Yes.
look at the daily lives of those who are living in Gaza, can you talk to us about that? What does that look like in terms of access to food, access to water, access to basic necessities?
Well, I live in the north, and I understand what a hungry stomach feels, and what the lack of food or other necessities looks like. I for it was I lived a very tough period in my life, especially in December to March. At this month, there was no food completely from all kinds. There was no vegetables, no fruit, no meat, no chicken, no. You cannot have a flour to make a bread, and we unfortunately depended on other sources of food, especially those animals depend on. We ate animal food at the beginning of the war. One of the Israeli eminent ministers said that they are human animals, and yes, they made it practical. They made it, let's say, a feasible um, reality by letting us, and not letting us, forcing us to eat animal food. And by the way, I really, for days I didn't eat only a one bread. We couldn't eat anything. There was not only a shortage, an extreme shortage of food, but also there was an extreme shortage of water. Sorry to say this, but I for one complete month, which was December, I couldn't have shower. There was no water. And when we had water, it was a seawater. Imagine how salt it is and how might makes your body sore.
Right.
After I got a shower with that sea water, all my skin, there was pimples, sore, and it me for weeks. So talking about now it's better, but just because we have flour. But in we really don't, and we don't have now vegetables, fruit, meat, or we just have flour so we can make bread. But otherwise, we didn't have any access to other things. Water now is better, but it's better in my neighborhood. But other neighborhoods in the north, they have water. They go, let's say, they walk for long distances in order to access water. And imagine holding a gallon of water from a place to this place, 3 kilometers on foot, very hard, and caused a lot of elements. Many people here used to, and yes, I have water in my house, but water comes only to the first floor. So we have to hold buckets and move it to the fourth floor where I live. And most of people have lived the same way. We are tired of holding buckets of water. We are tired of not eating. If we were eating, then this would be an easy task. But we don't eat, and we don't have a proper food in order to strengthen our bodies. However, still we make these tiring practices which exacerbate the health situation of our bodies.
I mean, honestly, Malak, truly what you are saying is so reflected in the reality of people in Gaza right now. And I think hearing it firsthand from someone who is living there, I feel that people in the international community, they hear about Gaza, but it's just this news report or this journalist report, but it's not firsthand those who are going through this genocide and this war. And like you speak about, that the conditions have constantly gotten worse, and there have been periods where you said in your life where you did not have access to food, that you did not have access to water, and even after you have access to water, it is not in the way that it should be. So when we look at just young people in Gaza, how are they able to kind of go through their day to day? How are they able to remain strong? Because when we don't even have the access to basic necessities, then I doubt that there's access to help for people who are going through even mental turmoil after seeing what is going on around them, after seeing their families being, displaced, injured, themselves being displaced and injured. So how are people in the community there staying together? How are they staying kind of, I feel, mentally well? How is that happening?
Well, I just want to clarify one thing, Amina. We are not strong. We are forced to be strong. We don't have other chances to survive. Believe me, if the crossing opens, a lot of people will leave Gaza because it's a
Mm.
torn area and we suffered a lot here. Starting from the year I was born. I was born in 2005, and from that day forth, I have never and never witnessed a year without bombing and without wars. And this is horrific because imagine a child, um, like whenever I watch movies, children gets traumatized and horrified just by hearing one bomb or seeing someone gets killed in front of their eyes. Imagine me. I
Mm.
didn't only hear bombs. I hear bombs 24/7. Yesterday, while I was sleeping, they have in my neighborhood. It's a very very big house. It was bombed, and because the severity and the strength of this bomb, I found myself stuck between two beds. This is my bed and this is my spare bed, and I found myself falling down and stuck between those two beds. I fell down from the bed. So again, we are not strong. We are forced to be strong. This life is inhumane, and Palestinians are very tired. We are very tired here. Uh, and yes, but however, people help each other. Let's say during famine days, we the days where we couldn't flour, we call it here in Gaza the famine days. Even though it's still in famine, but these days were much in the kind of an next level, much more than this now. These days, people helping each other. We were, let's say, inventing food recipes from the very modest amount of food we have, and we were supporting each other. When a mother's son gets lost, when a mother's son gets killed, women gather and they try to support her. This is our daily life. Our daily life is about supporting and living, supporting and living, supporting and living. Everything happens with us. We forget it at the same day and we live because we know that tomorrow will not be better. Tomorrow might even hold worse things for us. Tomorrow might be scarier for us. However, we are trying to live because this is what the moral of the story. We are humans and we want to live, not a human animal.
And Malak, your point that the people in Gaza are not strong, but they are forced to be strong, that is incredibly powerful. And I think it totally shifts the narrative of the people in Gaza are brave and they are strong from they are forced to be brave and strong. And they do not want to have to be this strong because nobody should. It is inhumane. SubhanAllah, I
Yes,
feel so, I
yes.
mean, that there's so much strength and truth and even in those words, so much weight in those words that this is the reality that you are forced to deal with, that is forced upon the people of Gaza, and there's no other way. That if there was any other option, you said that the people of Gaza would take that option rather than deal with this. Malak, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. You're all watching us on NextGen, and we will be taking a short break and be right back after our break. You're watching us on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Galaxy 19 satellite. I'll be right back with Malak. Here with our guest all the way from Gaza. Malak is with us today. Malak, you shared your experiences in Gaza, the experiences of young people in Gaza, the lack of access to basic necessities, to an education, and we talked about that. But let's talk also about the work that you are doing, the humanitarian work that you are doing with Her Voice Gaza, your Instagram page that has thousands of followers. You are sharing your story. Tell us about your page and the work that you're doing on that page.
Well, I came up with this idea. Let's be honest, I'm not the one who came up with this idea. It was my friend Dania. Well, I'm not a shy girl, but I always said that influencers are no good. They sometimes oh yes, they promote for things that idle chit chat, and they distract people. Let's say convey reality to people who live in reality. So but when my friend insisted, yes, my friend Danny is say she keeps nagging. Okay, I said okay, just stop insisting. And yes, I made this page, and another motive for making this page was looking at my mother. My mother, she is a teacher, and I look at her. She is very tired now. She stands and sits in front of fire, working and cooking every day. Her side got weakened. She is tired with the poisonous fumes, and from the heat, fortune heat, she got burned many times. So my mother was my motive. It's not about the fire. Women here in Gaza suffer a lot from a lot of things. Whenever a war strikes in a country, men and women get affected. However, women get affected more because women's situation here in the Middle East is not that good. And imagine when things get much more worse and deteriorates, of course, women will be affected in an adverse way, that is much more worse than the men's situation. So yes, this is the page. It's talking about women's struggle, and we also amplify the voices of Gazans in general. There are also mutual hardships between Gazan men and Gazan women, like chopping wood, and is trying to live here in Gaza is a tragedy and is a hardship in itself. So yes, this is the page. We are talking about women, and we are talking about Gazans in general as well, because they deserve to have voices conveyed and amplified. Because if we were not the ones who will talk about themselves, then who will talk about us? We are the ones who are experiencing everything firsthand. So we must be the ones who convey the truth. As you said before, that it's Malak, you refuted the argument that Palestinians, people say that they are strong, and then no, we are not strong. We are humans, and the humans are not strong. Humans just want to live.
Right. So here we have Malak's page, Her Voice Gaza, where you can follow her story and the life that people in Gaza are living. She shares not only her story, but like you said, she amplifies the voices of young people in Gaza, men and women, and primarily talks about the story of what it is like to be a woman living in these conditions. Now, Malak, we are talking about amplifying the voices of people in Gaza from inside of Gaza, but how about when we look outside of Gaza? What do you see the role of the international community in amplifying the voices of people in Gaza and providing humanitarian aid? Let's talk about the role of the international community altogether in regards to Palestine and Gaza in particular.
Well, through just one of let's say when I was a kid, I always knew and I always felt that people do not believe us and people all just always support the dogma of Israel just because they took a perspective of that Arabs and Muslims are terrorists. So yes, and Israel is another version of Europe. So they are the people who have the right, who are in the right side, and we must support them. However, I'm very proud of the international side these days and in this war particular because, you know, finally the truth came up.
Right.
Finally, people converted their ideas. We are not, let's say, we do not support the killing of anyone, but we just support the idea of being, let's say, of being free of this occupation because it exacted a heavy toll on Palestinians' lives. Before the war, our life was not that good, but we were also suffering. However, in this war, we are suffering, but on another level that is horrifying, horrific, and is completely inhumane. So yes, I'm very proud with the international rule because finally someone knows us and someone hears us and someone, you know, someone finally knows the full truth.
Right. And it is, I think, so empowering for people internationally to hear people from Gaza say that, their voices in amplifying what is happening in Gaza matters, and that they finally feel that there is truth coming to light, and the stories in Gaza are being shared. I believe especially American students want to talk about Gaza. They want people to know the realities of what are happening in Gaza. So, to the students who are listening to this, to the young people who are listening to this, you have someone from Gaza telling you that they are happy that the truth is finally being heard. Now, Malak, back to you and back to your story. How do you hope to continue advocating for Gaza on a global scale, on a global stage? And what are your dreams? I want to talk about you, your future, your ambitions, what you hope to go into in terms of career in the future. Let's talk about that.
Well, I believe that you cannot free citizens by blind murders, but you can free your people by education. And this is the statement that I always say in my life that whenever you get educated, everything gets solved. So I believe that I understand the hurdles and the obstacles my community faces. However, I believe that we need to contribute to solutions that build the bridges, not walls, because if we do not interact with the international community and find a solution to settle this war and to settle what is happening in general in Palestine, we will never proceed. Our lives will never proceed. So yes, talking about me, I want my primary goal is to complete my education. I will apply to the USA at the end of the year by the common app. Yes, like any international student. And I hope that I will get an acceptance letter with a full right to one of the universities. And yes, it will be the first step for me towards achieving my dreams. I want to be a writer as well as a diplomat. I love writing. I'm a good writer. Be super smug for saying this, but I'm a good writer. I love writing stories. I love writing political articles, and I love writing about everything. I love also representing people. I love speaking for people, and this is what I'm doing now. And that's why I believe the job of diplomat is suits me so much. Yes, I just want to complete my education first, and then we can talk about the career.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, Malak, for sharing your story with us. Thank you for being here with us on NextGen. It is our honor to host you.
Thank you, Amina. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
And thank you to our viewers on NextGen for tuning in. You were watching us on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Galaxy 19 satellite. At NextGen, we hope to amplify the voices of young people, and you will catch us on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all.